Hi, this is Alonso. I'm doing this little video to show a little bit the process that I go through when I do my research and I do my videos for the packaging series. And the first thing that I would actually recommend is that you guys take a look at the packaging series itself, which can be found on Dr. Asadi's YouTube channel. So you can just do a quick search and yep, that's me. But you guys can see all the well, there's 10 at this point, but there should be an 11th video coming up soon. So those videos will give you a sense for the time of the videos, the kind of topics, and it'll get you acquainted with all of the things that we do. But yeah, the first thing that I would say is obviously we discuss a topic with in this case my mentor Chengji. In the meetings we discuss what topic we think is interesting, and we do kind of like a preliminary search of what we do. And every time we do a new video, I start a new page with notes that I start filling, and I keep the links to all of my sources because we will use those later. So I start a document with whatever topic. In this case, we actually changed. We were first going to try to talk about energy efficiency. We ended up discovering that there wasn't enough to talk about, so we changed through a couple meetings. Ended up deciding on code design and security for code design packages. So the first thing I do is just a quick Google Scholar search. So if you go on Google, and you can see that you will need, for a lot of the cases, the VPN. So if you get the AnyConnect VPN, it'll connect you to the UF internet basically. And let me connect real quick here to show you. Oh, I guess I got it wrong. And there you go. It should now send me the push. There it is. And okay, and we're connected. Okay, so now that we're connected to the VPN, we can access a lot of the IEEE text and all of the semantic scholar text and do some like scholarly text. So so we can now go into Google Scholar and actually see those texts. Something else that I will do on occasion is start by looking up some kind of YouTube video. If I'm very new to the topic, I will start by looking up a YouTube video, and that's, for example, what I did here. My first reference for this video is a YouTube video for like some kind of like a webinar in this case, but there are lots of like introductory topics for different things, and these videos can be very useful to give you an introduction to the topic. Sometimes they actually have a lot of very useful information, but you know, in this case there were some 3 industry professionals talking about this, so there was lots of good information here. But overall it was just good to see, good to have an introduction to the topic, because I didn't really know much about this when I first started, and you know, definitely not definitely didn't know much about this when you know, for this specific topic. For other topics I'll have a little bit more of an idea. But yeah, so I'll watch the video, I'll take notes on the things that I think are important or relevant to the topic at hand, and even maybe take some screenshots of things that I think might be interesting, some pictures or things like that. The next step is trying to find some scholarly, you know, papers that talk about the topic more in depth, and for that Google Scholar is a good place to start. So you know, we can see here some of the topics I've talked about in the past. Let's look at IC code design, architecture, chip and package code design flow for 2.5D. This seems like it could have some interesting information, and you know, you guys can browse the different papers, and this will take you to the actual website. And I'm not sure if this one we can access PDF. Yes, we can. I imagine that's also thanks to the UF VPN. But yeah, and then, you know, once you have the paper, you just read the paper, and whatever you think is interesting, I copy and paste into my notes to have it all condensed into one place. So let's try to find, this is an, yeah, IEEE Explore. IEEE Explore will not work with your internet's Wi-Fi. You'll need to be connected to the VPN. So again, very important, but then you can actually get it here. And then obviously what I do is then copy the links, you know, and then paste them on my note. And then I can access this with the title and everything, because we will use these links later for reference. So I start to find some of these questions. Obviously in the meetings, I talk to my mentor, we discuss the information that we have. We start to kind of like come up with a little bit of like how we're going to focus the topic, and I will start to come up with an outline kind of for the things I want to talk about. You know, like let's talk about traditional first to introduce it, then, you know, what is co-design, why do we need it, a little bit of the history, advantages, challenges, things we need to do to enable it, you know, different approaches, security, a little bit of like today's perspective on it. And then I always personally wrap up the videos with a little overview, and obviously we need to include the references. We had some issues with this in the past where at the very beginning I didn't realize that was as important, and you know, now we always make sure to include all of the references we use, even if it's only for like checking something, double checking something. Keep all your links in. And the best way to do this, I found, is to go to citation machine, and this will do all of the citations for you. You might already know this, but you can create citations. You choose a website. Let's do the same link that we did. Search, it'll find the title, it'll find, there you go. You can cite it, continue. Turn off, all right, need to, there you go. So now it'll give you, you know, you can fill in the rest of the things, complete citation, and then you can change the style to be IEEE, which is what I've been doing since we're, you know, since we're kind of in the IEEE field. And then you can just copy and paste it at the end of your paper, and that's really easy. And then in terms of citing pictures, you just kind of have to like say which source, where you got this from. IEEE HI Roadmap is also a very interesting source. I don't always use Google Scholar. You know, sometimes you get referenced from one paper to another, or sometimes, you know, you find these kinds of things like the IEEE HI Roadmap has lots of different chapters, and I use this as a source as well for my Silicon Photonics video. But either way, they have lots of different topics relating to heterogeneous integration, which is something we've talked about a lot in the past. But yeah, as you guys can see, you gotta make sure to source all of your pictures, and make sure to do that. Also, this presentation comes in a sample. There's a sample with like all of these kinds of slides. So I start from the sample and then save a copy of it for each of the videos, and I can probably find the sample for you guys. Sample, here it is. There you go. It's just a title slide and a slide text, and you know, so I can keep the same formatting. But yeah, so that's kind of like how I do the citations. That's how I do this. And then yeah, you know, like just try to like get the information for the things that you think are important. Keep finding pictures. Another thing that we'll do sometimes, and this we do usually during the meetings, is ask ourselves questions about the topic. You know, if you were someone watching the video, or if you were someone learning about the topic, which you are, what kinds of questions would you ask yourself? You know, so like, can FPGA help in co-design? How does the chip co-design process go? Do they do thermal co-design simulations? Yes. You know, what are some security issues between domains? Or do companies really use electromagnetic simulations, or just for an early detection method? So we ask ourselves some questions that we think are interesting to the topic, and then trying to find those answers. You know, you don't always exclusively have to use scholarly articles. Sometimes I've, you know, some of my sources here. Let's see. One of these was from the Cadence forum, and there was an employee, you know, a person that does IC design himself, and he was talking about this. It was news from the Cadence forum. Obviously, you know, papers are preferred, but things like this can help you get an idea. You know, some articles or some things that people say, and it's good if you can contrast those with other information. But something like that can get you an idea of what's going on with a topic that might be more difficult to find specific information for it. But yeah, so once I read all the papers, once I have all the meetings, once we talk about it, and I feel like I have enough information, and this usually takes a few weeks, depends on how many hours per week working. Then yeah, I get to the presentation. Like I said, usually we have kind of like an outline already, and I just go back through my notes, and if I need to, I can access the referenced material if I need to see the source material for whatever reason, and I can start to put together these pictures. And yeah, some of these pictures will come from the source itself, and this one came from the YouTube video, and the presentation was the company Zuken, so gave them credit. But some other pictures will literally just come from Google Pictures. And let me here. So I'll literally just go on Google Images and say silicon interposer. Silicon interposer. Okay, images. What is a good image of a silicon interposer? I feel like this one's pretty good. Okay, so it seems like it's semiconductor engineering, but let's see if they source someone. If they yeah, source Xilinx. Okay. If they're using an image without a source, then I just assume that it's their image and that they have permission to use it. But in this case, clearly they're sourcing someone else. Or, you know, in this case, this one would be Intel's image. So you can, you know, use the images as long as you explain which source they're coming from, and that should be okay. And that's pretty much it. And then, you know, I just tried to condense all of the material into kind of like 15 to 20 minutes. I kind of like rehearse the presentation once, and I explain all of the material in one last meeting to my mentor, to make sure that all the material is good. And obviously I always appreciate their feedback, and all of that is very nice. So once all that is ready, I just go ahead and record the video, and I like to do it in one single take, almost like a lecture. You know, I just start talking, and if I mess up something in the first few seconds or something like that, I usually restart. But once I kind of like get going, I like to just keep going, and if I make a mistake, I'll correct myself. You know, and if I catch it later, I can use some video editing. But that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I do. And you know, just I guess the key thing is be satisfied with the product. Make sure that you've answered all your questions, and then you're kind of exploring all the different areas of the topic that you're talking about. You know, sometimes some topics will be a little bit too big for you to talk about the whole thing. You know, in this case for co-design, we decided to only have one slide for security, rather than go in depth into how each of these problems could affect, you know, the co-design process or the product, and we decided to just keep it like this. But yeah, that's how I go about doing my videos. So I hope that was useful, and I'm sure you guys will find your rhythm. But yeah, thanks.